Warm welcome to the Makati Gambia's independence anniversary celebration and different security apparatus and all other apparatus. Some of the are already
Kindly know that only
of course here was my camera was he was at some point out. I said it's great to be back, and then of course it's a special morning and welcome to LSTV once again.
Thank you so much. It is an honor, Lamin. Like you said, I was part of the family when we used to have those, beautiful and famous political.
And of course, looking at the things that the Maccabi were just like still at Bakau for independence of Bakau. I think Maccabi was definitely manifested that from the look of things.
Okay, definitely. Looking at yes, security forces, when it comes to days like this, they actually, play their part and then make the, ceremony to look so colorful as that they wear, and then the beautiful march past that they showcase every year. So definitely we need to acknowledge and thank them for their service, because it is not easy to be able to rehearse this within this short period of time and to be able to actually perfect it in this way. So definitely our Independence Day celebrations are usually very colorful, due to the nature in which our securities comfort themselves, the way they march, the way they definitely actually, bring light to the program. So it is indeed captivating to see them in this manner. But it's not a surprise. We've been seeing this year in, year out.
You were, out of the country sometime articles in China.
Yeah.
You must have had time to witness one of the independence celebrations. We will definitely talk about that. But first, let's talk about the importance of Ethiopia. This is the most important and of course the most important day as far as the country is concerned. After getting independence from colonial rule, of course, the Gambia is 61 years older and of course older than the
Definitely.
of the country.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, let's talk about the importance. I think how important
I think I would like to congratulate all Gambians because this is a day for every Gambian to be proud of your country. You know, a country that many see improbable country. When we are gaining our independence, the British thought that we couldn't survive on our own. But here we are celebrating our 64th independence. Even though we have some challenges that we definitely need to for the fact that we are able to stand on our own for the past 61 years, right? Yes, like other people or other critics will argue, it's one thing to be independent politically, and then it is other thing to be independent economically, right? Good. So, yes, when it comes to economic independence, we can argue in different ways, but then we can all agree that politically we are independent since we are able to have our own government in place, our own president, our own people leading the affairs of this country. So that's supposed to be a very, very memorable day. It's supposed to be a proud day for every Gambian. So that is why I extend, my heartfelt, congratulations to the president and equally to everybody that sees yourself as a Gambian. It is indeed a great day. And then to be part of this celebration is definitely indeed an honor. Lamin.
yeah, the Gambia has already witnessed the emergence of three different presidents after gaining its independence. Of course, we had the Saka Kaira Bajawara who ruled the Gambia from 1965 to 1994. And over, of course, it was
Yeah,
a good plot
exactly.
when Jammeh or President Jammeh and his people came to power.
So,
But they also ruled the country from 1994 to 2016. Of course, President Barrow took over the
so,
country from 2016. So, you know, during our time, I know most of us might not have the
witness.
chance to get to the Independence Stadium or any other venue
Exactly.
take part in the independence celebration.
So,
But I think along the line, something has changed.
mhm,
But in those days, the way people were getting independence or celebrating of independence is now shifting from a lot of people celebrating it now to
few people start.
ask about independence. They might not be able to tell you whether the Gambia is celebrating independence.
Oh, no, definitely.
I want to ask this question. Is, it those things have to do with the love for the country, or is it that they are not that much sensitized to have the idea, and also about this?
Definitely. I think love for the country counts a lot. But when it comes to the differences between how independence were celebrated during Jawara's days and how they are celebrated, in the Jambe and then the Barrow era, I think it all has to deal with the organization. Perhaps that time, Jawara and his government actually organized independence in a way that it was decentralized. Even though we were not actually present or we did not witness, chunk of the, days of Jawara, but then we were told by history, by our parents that, during that time, independence were decentralized, where every region will take ownership of the day and then celebrate it to make sure that they actually honored, the legends or they actually honored the sacrifices that our legends made, right? Because, before getting to this road, before getting to this level, there are a lot of sacrifices that were made. And then there are a lot of sacrifices that were made, and I think it is very, very important that some of those sacrifices are honored and they are celebrated, right? So Jawara and his government actually recognizes the sacrifices made by the likes of Edward Francis Small, Pierre Sanjay, and very firm to see that Gambia is a free country. So I believe, in honor of that, that is why independence has been celebrated, widely in those days compared to nowadays, right? But then, as you said, it has to deal with patriotism as well. Gambians need to be patriotic in a sense that they need to understand that this is our country. At the end of the day, days like this, where we are able to get our freedom, it should be something that should not be very, very light, right? It's not like if someone happens to give birth to a new baby, right? How that is celebrated supposed to be the same way in which this is celebrated. Though it is not going to be the same as the day the Union Jack was lowered and then the Gambian national flag is being hoisted. But then again, we need to understand that, we need to actually acknowledge and thank the sacrifices that, those independent or freedom fighters actually made. Even not for anything, like some
To be here.
aside, come together and then see that it is Gambia that brings us together. It is Gambia that we are all actually yearning to see, changes in as far as the economy, as far as any other sector is concerned. So definitely I think that is applaudable coming from other political groups because it is a national day and that is why it is declared as public holiday for every Gambian to be able to actually either be here or sit at home to watch and witness this important occasion, right?
If there is going to be any advancement that should be put forward by the state, like for example the president, what areas do you expect the president to improve on in the next year or two?
Yeah, a very tough question, but definitely, like we said, no matter what you do in life, there is definitely room for improvement, right? Even though some will argue that the president is actually doing better than the predecessors, but then again, as we used to say in Mandinka, right? So, and then that's definitely true, right? But before answering that question, coming to your first question where you said whether I'm expecting the president to make some, pronouncement or declaration here, I think this is an opportunity where the president will come and tell us, the plans that he has for the country for the next year, right? What they are able to achieve, the plan that they have for us, how are we going to actually strengthen our democratic dividends and all sort of things, right? But again, I think when it comes to the issue of the fact where I want the president to improve on as far as our nation is concerned, I believe one of the areas that the president might not actually be doing good at is the economy, right? As we all know, the economy of the country is is in a very, very horrible state, if one may have to say it, right? because of the fact that yes, we have challenges, we have other issues, right? You talk about the global issues, but then we need to solve our national problem, considering the fact that we take a reference to other partners within the globe, right? Now, on the economy, it is it's not in a good form, as we are seeing the rise of price commodities. We just start Ramadan today. I know you must be in the market to get some foodstuffs, right? So the amount of money that you spend on getting those foodstuffs some years ago and the amount that you spend these days is quite different. So that shows that I think the living condition of people need to be looked at. And I think I'm not an economist, but I think it has something to do with the economy, right? And also another area that I want the president and the government to improve on is the security, right? The security of any country is very important, right? Both the national, right, internal and external security. But first, to start with internal security, people definitely need to be well secured, right? Because that is why it is the responsibility of the government to maintain law and order. And through that maintenance of law and order, that is how security can be achieved, right? We've seen the rate of the killings that happens in this country. It was not like that before, right? So I know perhaps they might be trying in order to solve some of those problems, but there's still room for improvement when it comes to issues like that, right? Good. I think basically those aspects are very why it is usually it's a cross-cutting thing that affects a lot of things, right? And then educational system, we've seen improvement, but yet still, it's one thing to have a education own things, right? We have USET, we applaud the president for actually transforming it to a university. So this would be an opportunity where we will not only learn theory, but then we should also learn practical on how to actually meet some of the things on the external forces, because some critics will argue that these external forces are limitations on independence, right? Because how can you claim that you are independent when you definitely, actually depend on external, influence on your economy, or all the food stuff that we take are definitely coming out of the country, right? So to achieve this full self-sufficiency, I think the education also have a very important role to play, not only, concentrating on the theoretical aspect, but also to put that into practice, right? And then, to make sure we are able to definitely stand on our own when it comes to some of these things.
Yes, I wouldn't definitely blame you, because you've also traveled to China. You've seen a lot of advancements as far as infrastructure, education, and all that not is concerned. And basically, you must have had the chance to witness one or two of their Independence Day celebrations. To be specific, do they have any difference? Like in the Gambia, how we celebrate our independence, and down there in China? And also, you've also talked about the advancement of the infrastructure, the education, and some of the points that you've highlighted. Can you tell us the difference?
Yes, definitely. China is quite different from the Gambia on all aspects, right? And then they are also a developing country like us, right? Where some will not believe that China is a developing country. They believe that it's a developed country, but to them, they are a developing country, right? So for them, they call it a national day, where though we don't have the opportunity to actually witness it, but then we watch it on TV. Really demonstrated their power, right? Unlike us, where our security forces will come and march, for them, their national day, they will come and present, their military strength to protect our internals, to protect our sovereignty, right? So if any country wants to try to affect that, definitely we will not definitely sit and watch. We will fight back, right? So that is a way in which they are sending signal to everybody all over the world to know that yes, China is definitely a country that can protect themselves, because that's what independence is all about, right? How you are able to protect your territorial sovereignty, right? From external forces, from external influence or whatsoever, right? In an event that you could not do that, then what is the essence of your independence when other country forces can definitely come into your country and then take ownership of things within the country is definitely something that they are able to achieve in their national day, right? When it comes to infrastructure, definitely they are at another level, different from us, right? But I think we also need to look up on them, right? We need to look, the approach that they took. And then the China-Gambia relation, I think, is a typical example of such a thing, where they are actually inviting our government officials for 2-week seminars. After my studies, I went there for a 2-week seminar, where they will expose us to some of the development trajectories that they took in order to take their country to the level where it is, right? So this is supposed to be a model that we should go, learn, and come and actually implement in our country. Perhaps we'll also be able to get to their level, right? So I think that's a very big opportunity for the Gambia, and I think we need to utilize it to the best of our ability, right? Not to only go to China and then just watch and be amazed with what they do, but we should try to see what can we bring back that will definitely make our country better again. Even though circumstances might not be the same, but then we look at our country situation, we look at what we can do and try to actually emulate them, right? Because that's the only way in which we can achieve, lasting development, right? Through learning from other partners that actually develop just like us, right?
Thank you very much, and you are reminded that you're currently watching the Gambia's independence celebrations, or 64th independence celebrations, from the Makati Square in Banjul. And of course, this is LSTV1 Live. And of course, under the tent, of course, is Parliament Party. Sheriff Kamara is, of course, my special guest. And of course, Sheriff, whilst we are waiting for the arrival of the president, we've already seen the arrival of some cabinet ministers and some individuals that are all here to grace this very important day as the Gambia marks its 64th independence since its birth. Of course, this year's edition, or this edition, is of course going to be celebrated at a low key, and we have not seen the invitation of most of the presidents from the sub-region. And of course, some people might say, of course, they should have been invited, but I think to some, economically, this is definitely okay for the Gambia.
So I think definitely in both ways, when you look at the fact that it's a very important day for our country, so inviting other dignitaries, particularly presidents from other countries to grace, will definitely be a great opportunity. But like I said, considering the circumstances that we are and the cost that might be involved in high-key celebration, I think it is also wise to make it a low-key, that, where we'll be able to put that amount of money into some development project, right? Because independence is an yearly thing, right? If you are unable to do it in a high key this year, you can prepare for the upper year to actually make it in a high key, right? And the purpose of inviting those international dignitaries is for them to come and see what Gambia is able to achieve 65 years, ago, right? So definitely, if we do not have enough to show, I think to invite them to come here, right? When every year they come, they've seen that we are still stagnant, we still remain where we are. So definitely, it will not make any sense to me inviting them, right? Because the reason why these days are celebrated, this year they are able to get to this level, right? So that shows that there is progress. Progress has been made as far as the development trajectory, the security aspect is concerned, right? So, other critics are very, very right, to say independence should not be something that should be celebrated in a high format, for the simple fact that, we have a struggle economy, our debt, right? If you look at the budget, it's very, very high. Why can't we definitely cut some of those expenses and try to solve those problems? Since definitely, I definitely stand to be corrected, but I don't think from 65 years today, I don't think we have a lot to show, right? Apart from the fact that we are politically instant, which can also be, questioned, right, without foreign influence. But some will, yes, we have our own government, but we still have foreign influence, because those donors that are giving you.
The length has also had an impact in the government stance in not inviting presidents and some other dignitaries from the sub-region. Of course, we all know the Ramadan in the Gambia, Ramadan across. The Christians are also into the Lent, and some will still argue that's of course the contributing factor of the government not going in for the invitation of presidents and of some other dignitaries from the region.
It definitely might be, because Gambia is a religious country with Muslims and Christians. So as we are having Ramadan today, I know the Dabos, the Bojans, and the Sisters have very big issues, right? Good. So that people are going to be fasting, so there will be no need to make it a very, very lengthy celebration that is equally going to affect them, right? But then, based on the invitation of other dignitaries, I don't think Ramadan might be a contributing factor, right? Because this is it's a continuous process, right? at the end of the day, it's a national duty. So Ramadan should not actually stop us from engaging in this national activity, right? For the national celebration, one can allude it to Ramadan, right? But inviting, international dignitaries, I think it has to do more with the economic aspect than that of the Ramadan and the like.
And I believe this celebration should be very important and key here.
Exactly.
So it's 2026 and then it is President Barrow to either stay or leave. So I think this independence celebration should definitely be very much important to the president, and then hopefully we are expecting some key pronouncements to be made by the president today.
Good. I think before we even came in here, I was discussing with you about that, right? It's supposed to be a unique celebration because we are in an election year. This could be his last independence, celebration as president.
And those close to him wouldn't love to hear that.
Exactly, right? It's unfortunate, but that's what government is. It has to be, there need to be what we call, king of power, right? From one to another individual, where that person will come with fresh ideas, right? It could be the last independence for the president, right? As head of state for this country, right? It's possible Gambians might renew his mandate to continue leading the country as well, right? And I think that is something that if he definitely failed to recognize, might be a missed opportunity for him. If he couldn't win the election, he would have said, if I had known, this independence, I would have done. As usual, we are having all the things that are expected as far as independence celebration is concerned, right? Good. So, coming to the fact that whether we are expecting some pronouncement from the president, some people that believe in democracy will expect that the president today will use this opportunity to tell Gambians that I'm not going to contest the forthcoming election because of the fact that we actually should believe in term limit where he served 2 terms, right? So in order to harness that democracy that we are all celebrating today, Democrats, people that believe in democracy will believe that the president should take this bold step to come out and tell Gambians, during this 6 that yes, the 2 terms that I serve, I think I serve to the best of my ability. Based on the democratic principles that I believe in, I definitely will not be vying for it. Will I leave, right, when I have other pending things to definitely solve, right? But we need to understand that government is a continuity, right? The moment you have other issues, if you couldn't finish, another government will come and then they will make.
It is something that we might not expect for the president to say, I'm not contesting the upcoming or the forthcoming presidential election. But also, Sheriff, I think the president could also use the opportunity to canvass votes in this 61st independence celebration, because he can come forward with possible things that he can change the minds and hearts of many Gambians. Probably this could be one of the best opportunities for the president to canvass votes ahead of the elections.
Like I said, it could be in both ways, right? It could be an opportunity because some of the statement that is going to utter here might perhaps change some people's view about the president, right? So perhaps he's going to make some pronouncement about how he's going to transform the economy, about how he's going to take care of the security. Will believe that, based on the fact that the president is committed in doing these things. So definitely he get my vote, he deserve my vote, right? But with all that, some critics will also argue that no matter what the president promises, right, 2 terms, definitely win that election.
Remarkable. And already in front of our screens, it is the members of the Gambia Police Force and some other security apparatus, and of course it is definitely colorful here at the McCarthy Square in Banjul. Of course, it used to be at the Independence Stadium, Sheriff, and now at the McCarthy Square. I think if the stadium is done up and running, you would have had this at the Independence Stadium to have that colorful activity as far as the independence is concerned.
Definitely. I think looking at our securities, this is a day that will actually influence or motivate some people to definitely love to join the security forces, right? Seeing the attires, seeing the kind of march that they will do and other stuff, right? I think that is very, very important. It's so colorful. It shows the patriotism in them, right? Standing under this hot sun, fasting, and then trying to represent your country, try to serve your country to the best of your ability. I think all security officers need to be saluted for that, right? Even though we may have some of our issues with them, right? But then when it comes to days like this, national celebration, I think they always live up to expectation. If you, right? Now, coming to the Independence Stadium, I think that is why the name Independence Stadium, right? It is purposely, definitely it's a stadium where we need to be celebrating our Independence Days, but it's so unfortunate that is there, right? So that definitely also affect the whole name of independence as a country, right? Because could you imagine a country that is 61-year-old couldn't even have a standing stadium there they can celebrate their independence, right? So definitely that is something that we wouldn't be proud of as a 61-year-old, right? Like for instance, if you are a 61-year-old man and your kids ask you that, where is your compound, you have nothing to show, you definitely will be very embarrassed, right? And I think this is a critics that will say that if there is no essence of celebrating this day, right? Definitely might stand to be corrected, right? For me personally, I also believe in that same. But for me, I definitely love to celebrate independence because of the sacrifices that those four parents actually made for this country, right? You have Small, right? Per Sanjay, Gaba Jahumba, Sadawda Jawara. They definitely stood very, very firm to make sure that we are at the level that we are today. So, not for anything, but for their sake, I think that might be the reason why we definitely will like to celebrate their legacy, right? But again, some also will, when we are just independent, but still we've been influenced, we've been controlled by the British and so, right? But then, all these things are things that we need to look at as a government that definitely need to show that we are quite independent, right? It's not like if a man from Badibu had to build his case that, yes, I'm an independent man. You need to show for it, right? But if you don't have anything to show for, right, why beating your case around telling people that you are demonstration
is currently working on that to at least have a little or some advancement in the area of infrastructure. But I also believe there is room for improvement as far as education, the security and a lot of,
right? Because the moment you said you are independent, you are able to take care of your own needs or your own things, you definitely need to make sure that you are on top of the game and so that things are done as expected, right? Disgraceful if we are to celebrate independence next year in the same nature in which we are in, or even worse. So to me, I think that is something that the government needs to look at. Like I said, right? You talked about infrastructure. Yes, that is one thing his government actually did well in. If you want to actually score him in his scorecard, I think the will not feed us. Road will not actually put us in a situation that we'll be able to alleviate ourselves from poverty, right? But some still believe that road is a way that can also transform. If these other factors are actually missing as far as the country is concerned, right? When people are sick, they go to the hospital, they don't get proper drugs, right? At the end of the day, some people died in this country as a result of the nature of our. We're supposed to be able to do things by ourselves without actually, sending our people for overseas treatment, right? So I think definitely coming next year, we need to see improvement in this, right? Number of students or the high number of students graduating, whatever graduation, right? Where do they go to, right? Most of them become jobless. Some have to actually resolve they won't take, right? So all these are factors. You don't only educate people for them to graduate, educate them and then create opportunities for them to be able to excel and use the available option in those days during our time was the Gambia College when it used to be free. Right? Most of us that do not have anywhere to go, people tell you just go and to actually, get into that level where they can actually get the college education to at least get somewhere, as many Gambians would believe, before they get that, white-collar job, right? But then these are issues that we don't need to sugarcoat them, right? We need to see as how it is. That's the only way we can actually, develop this country, right?
Exactly.
Not to actually politicize it, but then these are the hard realities, right? Whether you are in NPP, the ruling government, or the opposition, we all felt this, right? Right? It becomes so sad, right? When, you, the ordinary citizens, are feeling it, and the people that that is something that is so disheartening, and independence celebration is supposed to address some of those things.
Not only a memorable day for myself, Sheriff, and those that are currently here. Of course, Sheriff, you know, during the days of Jawara or probably the first days of Jame in office, you know, having Independence Day celebrations, you know, or sometimes have these horses and then also this motorcade and all that note. So, but I think the government is trying to limit that. Probably they might say, of course, we are spending in a lot of money to do that.
In those days, people are very, very proud to celebrate independence because they feel that it is a day that is worth celebrating. But now some will tell you that it has no word, right, you know, in celebrating independence. When, if I'm at the independent ground, I'll be thinking about how to put food on the table, right? So all these are issues that definitely contribute to the nature in which, you know, independent days are celebrated, right? Get this from me, even if you are to provide free transport for people to come here, some will prefer not to come because they don't see any essence to some, right? Why would I come and celebrate when at the end of the day I'm not seeing any kings, I'm not seeing any improvement when it comes to my life, when it comes to the country, right?
Sir, what could change this mindset? Because we already have a whole lot of people back home. Maybe they might love to be here. What could change this mindset for people who have that sense of nationalism to come down to Independence Day celebrations? Though, you know, you may still have some other people that might say, of course, we wouldn't love to be there even if, you know, those vehicles and transportations are being provided. But, you know, to many, they believe it doesn't make sense or it doesn't worth it to come here when they are starving or a lot of other things are unsettled. What do you think should the government and the country do to possibly change that mindset?
I think that's a very tough question, but the moment that happens, you know, everyone will then take ownership of that particular country. You'll be proud to call yourself a Gambia because of the fact that you've seen good things happening in the Gambians. And Gambians, I think if that happens, will perhaps take ownership of this day, right? However, we also need to understand that it's a national day, it's not a political day, right? So being a national day, you know, like I said, even not for anything, but to come and honor the sacrifices that those people have done, I think that's supposed to be a reason why we should leave our homes and come and definitely join the president in the celebration.
Yes, I think we believe very soon the president will arrive. As from the background we had the arrival of the first family, that is the family of the president, President Adama Barrow. So we believe any moment from now the president might also have his way in here. So, but already, despite having it a low-key, you know, looking at the pavilions, we still have a good number of people that are already here. And of course, this is definitely going to be in their history books to say I've once attended the Gambia's independence celebrations, which maybe myself and you never had the chance during Jawara's time, you know, because then I was very young. You know, our ambition was, of course, to be there to witness the celebration, but unfortunately, we never had the chance. I could remember few of our schoolmates who had the chance to be selected to attend the independence. They were just, you know, celebrated live. So I think that is the vice president arriving here at the ground. So I think any moment the president will also arrive to definitely get on the proceedings.
I think, Lamin, usually it is always an honor, you know, to be present in such occasions, and many people take, you know, ownership of that because they feel that it's a proud moment that they can show to their kids that I was there when this independence celebration was taking place and so on and so forth, right? Like you said earlier on, in those days at the schools, if you are selected to represent the school for independence celebration, it becomes a proud moment for you, right? Because it is a moment that you will definitely see that you are also part of the celebration, right? And then I remember or I recall, you know, on State of Affairs yesterday, where he proudly said he was within. I don't know whether it is the iAfrica interview or that of, because I watched both, I could not trace, right? But then he was proud to say that he was part of the students that were around when, you know, margin, you know, when the first independence celebration was done. So you see the honor in which he actually said that the pride that is in him in saying that, right? And that actually applied to a lot of people that definitely celebrate independence. That will tell you that I was part of this independence celebration this time and so on and so forth, right? Because of the fact that it's a national day. It's a very important day for the nation.
Still waiting for the president, and of course the security apparatus have had a great morning here, having the parade, and of course they've already ushered in. They look for solutions or alternatives, and the president might also use the opportunity to correct a lot of things as far as his government is concerned, because people might.
It's an opportunity for him, a big one for that matter, to make sure that he convinced some Gambians that have doubted him, right? I know it's going to be difficult for people that believe that term limit is very, very important. No matter what he said, they will still believe that the security lapses that are happening, the plan that they have to transform the economy, right? All the other things that they need to do as far as reviving the education system and the number of people that actually get to the stadium. I can remember myself, I think we leave Brikama around 3 a.m. to actually get the opportunity to be part of that high number of attendance, right, in that kind of gathering. But subsequently we've seen that the number started reducing eventually, right? Don't see any reason for celebrating the day. They will not actually waste their time to actually celebrate that day, right? I think you can recall that day. Some could not even have access to use the restroom because of the high number of people that attended that particular independence celebration, right? So like I said, these are opportunities, rare, very rare. He may not have the opportunity to speak to every Gambian. This is an opportunity where he speaks to every Gambian, because an independent day where every Gambian will be listening to what our president has for us, right? So using this opportunity, he can talk to us. He can tell us, yes, I know these are the challenges, but then we have a way as a government, as people that we entrust with power. These are some of the things that we will do in order to correct the ills that we definitely have in our society.
Irregular migration has been a key factor. Like irregular migration has been a very challenging moment for the Gambia. Annually, we've seen the highest number of youthful population leaving the Gambia to seek a greener pasture. I believe the president might address that issue, but also I believe it might be a very difficult moment for the president to be able to do that, because most of the youths are with the belief that they can't make it in the Gambia. The only way they can make it is to get outside, get jobs outside, possibly have the chance of making it home here. But I think the president can also use the opportunity to create job opportunities for the youthful population, for them to be able to at least have something to be done here rather than using the perilous backway journey to Europe and other parts of the world.
I think migration is as old as man. It has been here for so long, but the nature of migration also matters, right? The nature in which you migrate is very important. Because taking the previous journey to Europe, one, it is very risky. You could lose your life, but people that embark on this journey know about the risks. Some of them will argue that the risk in staying in this country is higher than the risk that I will take to get to Europe. For the fact that they're living in the country with no hope, right? With the fact that the society itself look low upon them, right? I will quote from my very good friend Paragon, who will definitely always be saying this, right? When you go to the mosque, you hardly see imams or elders trying to say, let's pray for the youths in this country, right? The first thing that they will say, let's pray, for our people abroad. Right?
Yeah.
So when you look at migration, it has both push and pull factors, right? And then there are some pull factors that is actually attracting our brothers to actually embark on this dangerous journey. There are also some other push factors, right? The push factor could be the economy. You do not see any hope of having an employment that can sustain you, talk less of your family. If you have such opportunities, you will take it because something is pushing you out of your country, right? Because your country could not provide those basic needs. That when you get to the other side of the world, you can. Because we've been seeing that, on the pull factor, some of our brothers that will travel just within a year, they will start sending money, even though we don't know how those monies are earned, we don't know the struggles that they went through in getting those money. But the moment, we've seen them making some progress, it's something that pull us to also go there, right? The economy is pushing us. The impact that our brothers are able to make there also is actually, pulling us, right? So these are all factors that make a lot of people to actually live, right? Family is also another push factor. You go to some families, they definitely were pushing their own kids to take this journey, knowing the danger in it, right? With some statement, right? All your mates are gone, all your mates are like this. So that is something that is also going to push you, even though you don't want to take it, right? We all know Europe is hard, just like the Gambia. But then at the end of the day, people believe that it's far better than here, right? For the simple fact that the foreign currency that you get, when you send it here, it can multiply in several ways. And the amount that they will pay you when you work here, you couldn't get that, right? So these are some of the notions, these are mentalities that are in our youth, right? So to king that, I think all of us have a big responsibility to play in making sure that we create that avenue for the kids that will make them not to embark on such journey. Because if someone is comfortable in your country, I don't see any need living to stay abroad. I've been there. I've been in China for 1 year. I know how it feels when you are far away from your family. No one definitely will prefer living far away from your family, but it's because of circumstances that actually warrant them to actually, take this actual journey, right? But like I said, it's one thing to travel, but then it's another thing to know how to travel as well, because the journey is deadly, right? You can lose your life, and that life ahead of you, you can achieve anything. So our youth need to understand this very, very well, right? It doesn't worth it. Europe doesn't worth you risking your life, right? The tendency of you even succeeding when you get there, you never know, right? There are people that are broke, that are living in Europe and are still broke, right? So we need to understand this very, very well. But like I said, it's a big concern that the president needs to address and his government need to look at, right? Because the youths are the cream of the country. So if our youths are dying, what are we left with? If you have an ice cream, the cream is gone. What are you taking again? Nothing, absolutely.
It's like the president is on his way. As from the background, we can hear the silence, the alarm. But you talk to most of the critics of the president, they will tell you when the president gets to the independence, instead of highlighting the challenges of the country, he will basically, focus on the advancement or the developments that he was able to achieve. Of course, it's going to be a score on his scorecard, but I think it's also important to highlight the challenges for the people of the country to know. These are some of the major challenges or major and minor challenges that the country is currently faced with. But I also believe, if you are to have a guess here, which area do you believe the president is going to highlight as far as the challenges are concerned?
I think it's very good for the president to speak about his strength, what he's able to achieve, right? But however, he needs to face with some challenges, and he definitely needs to highlight that to Gambians. And then not only to highlight the challenges, but he definitely needs to inform Gambians how to actually cope or solve those challenges that he's faced with, right? Right? But then they have a way in actually, solving some of those challenges. And I think the president needs to look at that, right?
And now we will focus on the arrival of the president, as we are currently having the president's motorcade being ushered in. And of course the president of the Republic of the Gambia, President Adama Barrow, is already arriving at the McCarthy Square in Banjul. As in front of the screens, those are his motorcade, and of course the motorcycles. And of course, everybody will love to witness this. Everybody will love to be part of this celebration, because looking at how the president is being ushered in, I think it is just remarkable, Sheriff. And that's the vehicle of the president, and you could see, and then the president is currently waving at the crowd.
So colorful.
And that's the president. That's the president, and he has just arrived.
Just behind us, waving. I think that's natural in him all the time. Anytime he's traveling, he will lower his glasses, to be greeting Gambians, right? As ordinary Gambians, I think this is also important, because we feel that you are part of us, right? By actually waving at us, by greeting us in the streets. So that is very important. And it seems like the president is also well dressed for this day, right? in that beautiful African dress, right?
Yeah.
So it's so colorful, it's so lively, and like I said, no whether he admitted or not, it's going to be a mixed feeling for him entering in this gathering, right? Mixed feeling in the sense that he might be saying, will this be the last opportunity for me to actually get this privilege of actually, leading my country to independence? Or will I actually continue, leading the independence celebration? So that mixed feeling must definitely be felt no matter what. That's natural.
I think one thing we have to give credit to the president is his closeness to people. Because I could remember during Jammeh's era, people had this fear factor to come close to the president. I think the difference between Jammeh and President Barrow is
Definitely.
that closeness of people.
You need to give him his flowers for that. When it comes to his rapport, his closeness with the people, compared to, we've not seen Jawara's government, we are very young, but compared to that of Jammeh, I think President Barrow is more accessible, right? People can access him, so easily as opposed to Jammeh. But we need to understand that their system of government are also not the same.
Jammeh is a soldier
dictatorship, versus democracy. So the approach will never be the same, right? But then I think that's laudable. We need to applaud the president for that, because the people that you are leading definitely need to have touch of you, right? If you stay, away from them, if you stay out of touch with them, it's going to be very difficult for you to know their problem, right? Good. And then it is not a surprise, because the president himself is from the village. He understands, the fabric of our society. He understands how people are closely related. So I think definitely that's not a surprise.
And the school-going children, boys and girls, and of course we've also seen some athletes that are already here to grace, and we were made to understand that athletes across the length and breadth of the country are given the opportunity to grace this, because of course from here they're going to have the athletic competition at the Serekunda Westminster Stadium. So at least every region will have the opportunity to have their athletes here, and of course the athletes will also have this on their scorecard, record cards, to say I either shook hand with the president or saw the president for the very first time. Remember, some of these athletes are coming from the remotest of communities.
Exactly.
Like though the president is from Manka Mankunda, around he shake a hand with the president, and then come very close to the president. So just as I said, it's also going to be a memorable one. And already the president's vehicle is just marching slowly.
It's a proud moment for the students that will be marching, across here, or within the perimeters of this place, because of the fact that, like you said, especially those from Badibu, some of them, it is usually a proud and a memorable day for everyone that has the opportunity to be able to do that, right? Whether it is students, whether it is security force, and all those that are here, that will, at the end of this program,
Vice President, who are already here to grace this very important. So of course we will now have focus on the president, as he has already arrived at the place.
Thank you, Your Excellency. You are most welcome. Your Excellency, esteemed invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, as protocol requires, before we venture into the program proper, we will first commit ourselves in the mighty hands of Allah by seeking His blessings for a hit-free and successful event. On that note, may I respectfully...
And then of course he will have his formalities before giving the floor to address the Gambians as to what he intends to do in the next year or so. But already, I think it is just colorful. It is just colorful.
Definitely. I think when it comes to our national anthem, I don't want to be biased, but I think it's the best in the sub-region, right? And then it's the national anthem that is full of prayers, that is full of renewing hopes, and definitely, any Gambian, a patriotic Gambian, that definitely sings this song and know the meaning of it, it will enhance your patriotism to country, right? Because of the statements that are in the national anthem, right? Our promise we renew, right? The promise that you have for your forefathers, the promise that you have for your people that you are going to do. Anything about this national anthem is either a prayer or a form of renewing hope for this country, right? So it's a beautiful national anthem, and anytime it has been sing, I think you can see Gambians are very, very proud to sing in their loud voice to actually shows their, Gambianness, so that they are actually Gambians and so on, right? Then, you will see that we will sing it with confidence without any form of hinges or whatsoever, because it's been taught from our nursery level. So every Gambian will know every line in the national anthem, right? So I think that is very, very important. Coming to the colorfulness of this event, like I said, it is already colorful. Looking at the way people are dressed, the organization is top notch, right? Highly organized. Right? Everybody, the OSAs, the security, all the people that are here, the security forces that are not margin trying to give protection, right? I think that's a very important aspect, right? From the as you are entering Banjul, you've been directed what to do up to here, right? So that organization too is very, very important, right? And like you said earlier on, the president dressed in white, I think that also symbolizes, peace, right? Because it's a color or it's a dress that is highly, being cherished by people within the sub-region, right? The moment you dress like this, it's like you are put in a very, very high position, right? And then we've seen the president actually dress in a very good way, just like the other dignitaries that are also present, right? And then, in the mix here, we've seen other oppositions that are also present, right? There's an opportunity for them to actually meet the president as brothers, as people from the same country, as people of the same faith, to know that yes, politics, we may have differences in ideas, but that doesn't deter us from being Gambians, right? At the end of the day, we are all Gambians. We all actually, believe in the fact that, the red, white, blue, white is our color, right? And then we carry that to anywhere we are, right? And I think that makes it more lovely as far as this day is concerned.
Thank you very much, and of course, this is where we're definitely going to take leave of Sheriff. If not the Ramadan, we would have had the chance to get a sip of water. But unfortunately, we are currently observing both the Lent as Christians in the Gambia, and also Muslims having the Ramadan. So, of course, this is Sheriff. This is where we're going to take leave of you, and of course, now have the focus on the prayers that is currently underway. Until then, thank you very much for coming. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
peace and progress. We pray that you will continue to protect and preserve the Gambia and its peoples from danger, violence, hatred, and divisions. Keep us safe in your care from the evil one and its agents, and inspire and empower each of us to follow your ways and work for the success, stability, and welfare of our nation and humanity as a whole. May we always experience your protection and assistance, and our oneness and unity in you as your children, regardless of our religion, our tribe, our ethnicity, our political affiliation and background. As we celebrate our nationhood today, we pray in a special way for our President, His Excellency Adama Barrow and his family, his Vice President, Cabinet Ministers, the Chief Justice, and members of the Judiciary, the Speaker and members of Parliament. You appointed them to direct the affairs of this country and work for the common good and the benefits of its citizens. So we implore you to guide, sustain, and strengthen them so that they will execute their duties with integrity and dedication, justice, sincerity, and the fear of God. Grant them good health, peace, happiness, and success in their public life of service to our nation. We commend into your care the security forces and health workers of our country who committed themselves to maintain law and order and protect and preserve our lives, that you will defend them from every physical and spiritual attack of the enemy. Bless and assist our children, our students, youth, workers, and all the citizens of our country. Grant them the knowledge and the resources they need to succeed and be law-abiding citizens. And may you fulfill their hopes and aspirations in life. We make this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of the Gambia and Commander-in-Chief of the Gambian Forces, Mr. Barrow, Your Excellency, the First Lady, Madam Fatmata Barrow, Your Excellency, Lady Sajo Barrow, Your Excellency, the Vice President, Mohammed B.S. Jallow, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, His Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Gambia, and senior judges here present, Our Lordship, the Mayor of Banjul, and His Lordship, the Mayor of Gayon, former Vice Presidents of the Republic, Your Excellency, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Secretary to Cabinet and Head of the Civil Service, Honorable Cabinet Ministers here present, Honorable Ministers of the African countries here present, Honorable Members of the National Assembly and members of the Judiciary, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, National Security Advisor and other advisors to His Excellency the President, former Speaker of the National Assembly, Chief of Defense Staff, Gambian Forces, and the Inspector General of the Gambia Police Force, Armed and Security Service Chiefs, General Officers and Senior Officers here present, Heads of Government Departments, NGOs, parastatals, private companies and institutions, regional governors and stakeholders, venerable religious leaders, members of the press, esteemed invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all other protocols duly and respectfully observed, good morning to you all. I am Major Malik Sajjan, Director of Press and Public Relations of the Gambian Forces, and it is both an honor and a solemn privilege to serve as Master of Ceremony on this historic occasion, which is the 61st Independence Anniversary of our beloved Republic. On behalf of the National Organizing Committee, I would like to welcome you all to the Makati Square in Banjul on this fateful Wednesday, the 18th day of February 2026. On this very ground, and across this sovereign land, we gather not merely to commemorate a day, but to reaffirm a destiny. On 18th February 1965, the Union Jack was lowered and our national flag rose with quiet dignity into the Gambian sky. There were no thunderous currents announcing our birth into history, only the steady resolve of a people determined to govern themselves. That moment was not only symbolic, it was transformational. It marked the transfer of responsibility from colonial authority to the sovereign will of the Gambian people. Independence declared to the world that the Gambia bears no allegiance to any external power. That sovereignty resides exclusively in her people. That our territorial integrity is invaluable and that our political destiny shall be determined by Gambians for Gambia in accordance with our laws and democratic principles. These were not mere proclamations, they were solemn commitments. 61 years on, we stand as beneficiaries and custodians of that commitment. From our modest beginnings, our nation has advanced in infrastructure, education, healthcare, transportation, and professional capacity. We have strengthened democratic governance and deepened our institutional maturity. Yet, progress must never breed complacency. Independence is an event confined to history, not. It is an obligation renewed in every generation, just as ours. In our midst are representatives of every sector of our society, judges, parliamentarians, members of the executive and private sector, farmers and fishermen, students and professionals, persons with disabilities, cultural and religious leaders. Independence belongs equally to all. Our diversity is not a fault line, it is a foundation. When we march together, we demonstrate that unity is not uniformity, it is a shared purpose. For the armed and security services, our presence today is not merely ceremonial. We stand as guardians of sovereignty, defenders of territorial integrity, and guardians of peace and stability. Even under the hardest sun or the heaviest rain, we march in disciplined resolve because the defense of the homeland is a sacred trust to us. We salute our founding fathers whose foresight secured our freedom. We honor those who have served and continue to serve in the preservation of peace and national cohesion. We reaffirm that our democratic republican values, accountability, justice, participation, and national unity remain non-negotiable. As we reflect on our journey, let us remember, independence is sustained not by rhetoric, but by responsibility, not by division, but by brotherhood, not by entitlement, but by trust. The promise of 1965 is renewed in 2026 in our collective aspirations. Therefore, we remain steadfast in purpose, unshaken in patriotism, and unwavering in our commitment to building a nation large enough in spirit to accommodate all her sons and daughters. One people under one flag, guided by one constitution. As we now prepare to witness the inspection of the troops on parade and the march past of our armed and security forces, let us behold more than synchronized steps. Let us see a living symbol of discipline, unity of command, and unity of a nation. Different institutions, one mission. Service to the Gambia, ever true. On that note, I have the singular honor to announce the inspection of the troops on parade by the reviewing officer, His Excellency, President of the Republic of the Gambia and Commander-in-Chief of the Gambian Forces, His Excellency Mr. Adam Barrow, GMRG. Parade Commander, sir.
He is presently inspecting the parade, after which the parade would march past in slow and quick time and review. Prior before we reach to the march past, presently the ongoing inspection of the Gambia is been showing the parade now with the parade. There was no fight, there was no weapon used against anybody, and there was no military distribution. As a proud Gambian, we got full access to make a peaceful negotiation, and we did not have any problem whatsoever. Indeed, there is no secret looking at our political independence and how it was negotiated. It was negotiated peacefully. No bullet was discharged. No weapon was used against securing our independence. It was clean and clear. In 1965, prior before the parade. Either be a republic or then what is called the House of Representatives or the National Assembly would sit, make decisions on behalf of the people, get down, agree, and the voting aspect of it was only within what is called the Great Amendment. In the protectorate of provinces like others call it, and therefore the protectorate, we are represented when it comes to the election by the people that they choose. And who choose them? It was the people that they represent. The chiefs, the alcalos make decisions on behalf of the people. Chiefs make decisions on behalf of the people. And therefore, when it comes to the figures that we have prior to the constitution, we have leading to 1960 independence. First, Kamanyu
Agul was the first 10. Which people? Hara, gis nga 10 bi, first 10. 10 bu way. Ah? Waaw, soo ko rombee di nga rombal 10. Yaa ngi gis. Yeah, the first one.
jërëjëf Modou Lo ñu ngi lay jaajëfal jërëjëf kontaan nañ ci yow Fall jërëjëf moom Modou Lo borom mic bi borom lamb bi moom it borom lamb bi ñu ngi koy jaajëfal mbokk yi ba tey rek
Happy
Assalamu alaikum baɗigol ngal konton ngal bisimila e koten Makati Square Banjul sate kono kabring temola min dron Gambia be jural ke kan sanji taw woro anin kilin kabring ye independence in soto walla ko Musa ko ye fongo soto gabo tubabu mararo nyinto en kilingo wala be jura kan Makati Square Banjul sate kono be ko mi mol mi yalon ne ko be bulakan no manu kacha dol ken jang ne Serif Camara mi yalon ne ko ku jamal bi je mi yalon ne ko na kacha ada be kono kuma ya nyel lungo yinna ani mol fanan nan nañi ani ku jamal mi yalon ne fan ko wala be dending independence celebration nyin bar ngamra kacha nyin be kadan tubab ko non sa entembe wato nyin tela pour ka kacha nyin tenten abrim to malamin na dron mo kumal mi yalon ko wala nyanta ma be la jang banko nyin kanjang wol ma be tale anden president nyin fanam fronal ajele ayala inspection o ke mi yalon ko Musa ko don kontondiro lon ka security apparatus mi yalon ko wolem tankada bunda mol de kela kol nyin jibe sa internal be min moy kan dron security wolle be la do ko nyina walla ko be parade nyen la sa inten dron jang bat serif ngamra kabrin kacabe kumas kan kumaya nyin ne kacay bari ni aji be pour kaje ko ke fama soto tubab maroro nyinda mu fenti mi yalon ka kumata Gambia banko la tari ko nyindo par fana mi yalon ne fana gana kumata wolo nyindi fana ko sawo sang nka nyin jura par ko mi ba foka nyamen dorong nimbe macho nyinji be ka ngamra ko iko nyinka tinal hani mal lafika ke police odi walla sojarote nyin lungo na nyongoli kala fika kati
exactly ake mari motivate le because pare nyi mal men ki jani maji mal me keri ni be so ko ne betele jube ka nyabe nyi ne ka inspire ka ke nyi service man at some point, you know, because I'm told be so that and then definitely anyi ya battle, you know, aje pare nyame ani ba ma kanjame ni na majo la Gambia ni ngo nyoti je da sa kola bare fanan be mol kono le men yalla ka majo ka anda kere nyala so president Fernanda Bota Kagal inspect as required by the ceremony, right? Now what ni si vakera agana la murum service manual dala and najelo kera nyame with high security, right? You know, with all the organization comes and na fotuba gala no nyame organization o membijang, all right? That organization kilon tamata cabinet president be you know security men yalon ko be parade la jang abe murum kan mba moy kan you know parade commander la abava kan moment bijang security forces they are about 500 plus, right? You know, from different security forces, you know, both within the central and local government, because nyaka KMC police all fananjijan, right? So akumaya tale like na fanyama lunkuma balem kana jang ka independent of jura, right? Like come kan ka fanyame another majura for any other reason, like Dol Bafola, you know, independent of Juro Nafale, Nimen Nyama, Sanyeta war on killing Pom, you know, Nafatala then ka independent of Jura, comes a Dol critics Dol Kavanyame. Na Kela sacrifice honor, I think that is very important. Na Kalamutako, Edward Francis Small, PS Njai, Gabaja Umbasada Jawra, you be load lalata, ka make sure Gambia ke bango de mealongo abetala fumble. Kabotuba Mararoko, because what I'm a British or lava more Macarana history, what I'm a Lavana independent of Dilana. Imala Bake, for Gambia Galabancula de Mealo, you know, from Marano. So the fact that he has to match us with Senegal, because Itole Gambia Jalaco is an improbable nation, right? Mealonco, Bancolem, Mealo among endowed with a lot of resources, right? Fentable natural resources. So at the end of the day, ila mira roto ntol bem fan sambano la nyaade economically, right? So agara kole akubadi, but like na fo nyame nyim fo fadal they stood their ground ya jeko Gambia independent also, and that is why even a code ol jubela especially in a coat of arms ye taman serol kijele many are more informed, even though we are improbable, even though we don't have a lot of resources, but we have the land that we can explore, right, in order to be able to feed ourselves. That is why coat of arms in Terron in Dabanubide. It signifies something. Well, in Terron, the moment we clear the ground, right, endow our ground, you know, a fertile land, and Dabanuta we get to work, we should be able to feed ourselves. And because of that vision, and I'll back to the land, you know, calling I think it was geared towards that, right? So, Jimolokuma Bali.
Comme ya fo nyamin critics sol ba fo kan wala ko critics sol be min folan nu wala nyinde ko okay kabring tubabol kan independence dinna yenyim believe less do ko fo Gambia be fo samban wala you talk to some of them still now will tell you ni natin na fo tubabol li double tour so do pour kaje ko fo Gambia ba fo samban wala bari ni independence jibe woy mi la karola lombang anindula jamal wol mu fente mi yalon ne ko mol ka nyinen ka so ngamra kacha nyin ko angale kan wala ngai tan ni janne ko president Barrow se nyim opportunity tano le pour kaje ko ka diam ani ñaato tal mi yalon ne ko ay wala keno kabring to malamina nata into office in 2016 so ngamra ko the platform is already here for him and then also mol bi janne mi yalon ne ko be mabere but also ngamra mol mi yalon ne ko wolle be banta mi yalon ko be event o nyin jibe kan ko ba jibe kan telel to whatsoever platform you know abe diam wol mol bel at the same time so ngamra ko abe ko mala janne pour ka wol address and then I tandi Gambia banko ding wala ñim kol ya ko min be lar na masa kunna kan be wol kelelo no nyade pour kaje ko wol se bono nyame
Definitely, Lamin. I think come now about Ghana nyame independence celebration no a celebrate on a farm world. Me alon president bina about vala mole you know. I mung lo dalata. The moment you talk about fansoto, you know, nyande fansoto in always, right? Like model bafala. Ni ko fansoto Gambia manke bankur me alon ko na economy be fambulu ala control be mol lebulu me alon control quand be do maka bonam bantale and the aids the grants that government sort of will be mfene de meni ala ka bonam banda so to some that is not independent, right? But like I said, independent mo ko fulan, there is political independence, there is also economic independence. Yes, you might actually dispute that we among economic independence, but for political independence, at least for some sense, since we are able to have our own government, you know, having the British here comes out in Delta where in you know British governor sort of Germany right? So I think because of the political independence, as a kumaya back as governments, as government, we definitely to make sure this political independence coupled with the economic independence as well. Because all of the funds are running to money. No one has
all nyabe minna ten drone screen la pour ka independent min ibe kabring to malamina drone parade ni be caring ibe contending police all and security forces do libe manya min ke kan as far as ila parade ni is concerned. So ngamra seribia min fo hansa me kambe mo potengol fanangela mi yalla nako they will march past the president and some other cabinet members mi yalla nako be jang. So but in front of the screens currently it is just colorful, Serif. This is just lovely.
Definitely.
Just
like if I can match nyameng is single ni bulol kara nyameng you know yeah single ni bulol kara nyameng definitely akan amaze bakele and like in Ajube you know though you are trained but at the end of the day how they are able to perfect it in this way I think we're gonna cooler me alon nyanda security force upload that right you know sikandi waro sikandi right you know you don't see any error here right so their performance definitely is top notch and definitely we need to commend the Gambia security forces for this, you know, from the command down to the last man, right? It is so colorful. Men kata minna te olmu navy lady. We are made to understand, right? And then yajele ye pare nyame in their ceremonial dresses. Then yes, security force also many alo wole identika ulan la do. I assume army all them, you know, men ball no, police all fanam ball. Me along ko you know. Ika switch it all kenyameng is definitely nice. This is so colorful. You know, I think though men baju eka tele but if we are here, you enjoy it, you know, far more, you know, than that, right? Definitely this is very nice. I can see, you know, you are just speechless because looking at, you know, how this is definitely this is nice. So colorful, right? civilization like ka switch nyaming wala kan de jaga a layman like me they can understand no right but this is beautiful
so ngamara ko biya going to get back to that wolo nyinde ko this is something that they've been trained on. There is no margin for error here. So it should be a perfection. So sain jankai amara ko wole fongo ya ajibe nyinyi nyande. And kabrin dol bita kan school kabri wo time on ka mole Gambia nana machola we can say we are second to none but kabrin dol fongo natan ka ajem fongo nyala the moment he match nyala mobe la ka kontane comme ibe background to nyim moy ka nyame molbe kontane be bulo nyin ko sekang. So this is definitely colorful from the security personnel.
And main point I miss about this is that they are all youths. Many along they just love to serve their country and to them bankudoko mu olieldi do jamuta yes when president la do ko mu nyinti dol fanana do ko mu doldi can make sure that make a menyin in nasoro and then security it all vana jere is a banco de mano in this way and yamuta banco fair right so this day will not have been memorable without them as well right and so definitely I think this is interesting Urol moy me along people are definitely happy. You can see how they are able to kick from slow to quick match. Right? Wonderful.
So this is just colorful. So, but also, you talk to some people, will tell you, okay, okay, funding they are ready to serve their country, but is okay, left Gambia like to look for greener pasture. So ngamra president Ojang as a new moment use to instill that hope in this youth to tell the Kwalmas 100%, but at least half of it should be able to be provided to this youthful population.
Right, migration na sababu kage. So like you have in funding them at the end of the day, near incentive or create you will be able to keep them here. But then if those opportunities are not coming their way, their family people somewhere else, Iba Explorer, right? Where in Bangkok, Sentinel Plumbo. Because if these creams are all gone, at the end of the day, even a national celebration, you will not be able to see this spectacular performance. So, that is another way in which you can motivate. Because the moment they motivate the contenta, the better performance Megala Menjela year in, year out, right? So I think that is very, very important for the government through the president to look at, right? The plight of the Gambian workers, most especially security forces, I think is important. Because it will be pathetic that some of these people that are marching here might not even, he needs to be assuring. Like we said, leadership is about influence. You need to be assuring to people that, yes, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the day, this is what we do in Nene. So stay in your country, and then by the time we are able to deliver this project for you, I'll be Kafin Penjin Alba Sotola Bango.
I'm Robert Kumala Bakele, President of Mimfo, moving in the Kalawola. Like, for example, events like this, or days like this, Nim President ko maybe Janin Jarin Yawato, Lafta make sure that Gambia Banco Dimo better content. Their Gambians will have the belief that okay, President Onyinefo, and then nine Mimfo Walekake, Walakonaya for Yami, Anatarakwa Manati Wonyama 100%, but at least 50%. Or 50 or more percent so ngamara ningo wo sifal soto no nyimol mi alon ko be match ka nyaminde ka mim fango dinna se keno abe tambila wala
definitely like ngava nyameng aba kole ala ka deke no but at least basic needs me alon ko banko dingol ya need to live a dignified life. I think that should be the responsibility of every government, right? Because ila banko dingol they need to go to bed without being worried about what they will eat the next day. The moment you are able to give them that basic need, you will see that a dignified life they live, and dignified life the service that they are providing for the states improve day by day. Right?
Akamunda jampana a competition malem akamunda me kuoje kanyame because akamunda ko fanang every security outfit yela own media teams or just like the police and other the army and then some other security apparatus. And also they are currently taking photos and videos. Probably they might after the event they might compare to say okay ndol nga nyinde ka karñu exactly. So na colors panang, you know, na attires, the way we appeared was better than Nyul. So ngamra ko akake competition le team.
Every man with at some point they get selfies, right? Right. So most they have elaborate YouTube, right? And then that is why if an ambitious bela mole follow so that it's all kind of pride that you know in the 64th independent anniversary margin told the four star. No more be 4-star all the time. But at the end of the day comes a moment every damning. He can have wallet all the time and so right?
Maybe people like me okay, afa mole jamale from match kuto wala jamale 4-star, maybe I might struggle. But also maybe they might have experts. Mol mi alon ko told they are very they have the knowledge to be able to determine okay, Jumale the best in matching so and all that not. So ngamra ni wosi balketa every year, you know, a particular group will try to upgrade.
I think all those are what we call motivation, right? You motivate them. You can come up with an award in pricing and Okatandiko. Any unit may alongo is identified as the best, you know, that match will be given this amount, right? So at the end of the day, the next year, it will be a form of, you know, a sort of competition wherein they will all try to perfect. Because as you can see, it's a keen work. It's a joint security force. Incorporate as you can see, the major baker. But when it comes to now, you come up with little award, more do as expected, and then if that happens, then you will ultimately have result.
Coming up on Yaming, Serif, Ibenun China, Yela Independent Ninjele, and then of course Yaitan.
We are ready to defend ourselves as those small budget independent multi. Defend your territorial sovereignty, right? Good. So you can all about it, right? Yeah, don't maybe mom for a level or you match pass but I perhaps, you know, sometimes we might also get there where we are able to produce our own weapon, you know.
And then people are definitely in love with this. So this is why okay, when it comes to matching Gambia, probably second to none because by coming here for Yami,
not being biased, but so definitely Namol Kaka Yaming. And it all got a in Yakono, Namul Lataga Yamfe. And Gambia may come on top, right? And looking at the way in which Namol Gaganyame, right? So these people, they only need motivation. And that's what the government can do for them to make sure that they are motivated to keep doing the hard work that they are doing, right? Because, you know, the moment you Kabori, like right? So if these people are doing this here, you give them some motivation. Let's say today going home, you at least definitely, you know, made them to work harder anytime, right? I think that's important.
Yeah, but also ninga jibe kabo President Jawara time or kana jamela national celebration wala Independence Day celebration wala betala kambang natara ko wala betala kang. What are the possible contributing?
Now of interest in betala kan bag because like na for nyame of people nyaje many along your independent or attend. But as time goes on, number can reduce like gradually, right? So that is actually telling people that some people celebrate based on, you know, people, and they have reasons for actually not celebrating based on that aspect, right? But then, like I said, always ninla for follow la, we will not be able to have the opportunity to honor our legacy, sacrifice this service, right?
Ngai modol mi mandali mil ma expect ngalo won bordol
myself down in my board right now.
Yes, because kabrin kidol beta ta nyola ngamra nyul bim bebi jang kidi keso le be mu la kido ko exactly so ngalo kunol banam ba la ko mu ne ba
something is happening,
yeah.
You know, yeah.
So getting back to the question,
God. Yeah, it ain't legends some body, you know. But if I don't there's about I think Wakumaya, you know, if independent is something, may along. But the moment a man fails is always a problem. And I think national anthems are
yeah. kiddo be final. So but I am dalita because we've already seen once of one. Guy, we've seen the first one. National anthem dolem.
Yeah, that is special for this occasion.
Okay.
Where national anthem belala several times. Yeah. Any kidifayo followed by national anthem, right? That shows how important the day is because lungo dola buka kewa.
Ning atara moba itandila come like mose munekeno wala ko man sekunda nyanta munekela pour kaje ko that sense of belonging nati no mol kono okay that sense of nationalism to say okay nyimun na banku quality and then it's a national event just like as important as any other national event pour kaje ko mole fundi okay we might say we want to have it at a very low key. We are not inviting people from outside, but nationally people should take that ownership and also that sense of nationalism to come out in numbers to celebrate.
Yeah, I understand civic education, right? You know, me along, though government are trying, they introduce civic education in our senior secondary curriculum, but I believe it should even be, you know, beyond that, right? Even these kids that are going to primary school should be taught about some civic education courses that will teach them about patriotism. The moment what happened, they'll be patriotic, and days like this, Ibalon is a national day, and they will take pride of it, right? Secondly, the government also need to make sure that, you know, they serve the needs of the people, right? You know, the living and the livelihood of people. The moment you improve, at the end of the day, you know, people now see a purpose for celebrating independence, and that will definitely change the narrative. But then, if people are still living in abject poverty, they don't see any need for celebrating independence, definitely they will not turn up, like Nava English Counter. They will be Jehane free motor or somewhere along the way. They will not come because they will start asking, what am I celebrating for? When, you know, I was the same 61 years ago, right? So I think those aspects are very, very important. We are not saying that but still there is more room for improvement, right? Another on the health sector, another on education, another on security. These are things many along, you know, I believe our founding fathers for independence will be very, very surprised if they are to come back and see the Gambia, you know, in this nature. This is not something that they have yearned for. It's not something that they have actually fought for as far as Gambia independence is concerned, right? But it is what it is. You know, that is this case. I think, you know, government, the work is with the chunk of the work, the government. It only nala with some initiative to change this, right? Of course they are trying, but like Navanyam and there's still more room for improvement. Near Gambia, Jube, as opposed to other countries, we are still, you know, lacking behind. And then we need to catch up with the world.
Yeah, ngalo ko president la speech ni ngabe points jamal highlight la but ngamara ko natara ko achievement bi yemi alon ka be all highlight la ba that must be infrastructure because ni ajibe saying road expansion and impanang you know silado ko laning also, you know, in trying to lay foundations for the construction of some of the roads. So ngamara ko natara ko abe fensoro le jami alon ko abe proud la enough for doing that must be the infrastructure.
Exactly. So before me out Senegal so to our independent Dole Injelego is an insult.
Okay.
You know, the fact that we call ourselves an independent country, and yet still we have foreign security forces actually dictating or directing the security of our country. For some critics, it is something that defeats the purpose of independence. And Paniajuve, at some point, it makes some sense because of the fact that as an independent country, our security should be our entire responsibility. So having them around actually might defeat the purpose of independence at some instance. Right? Yes, we all know that government has responsibility then to make sure every citizen is secure, and if they see the need of bringing other forces, it's very important. But the moment that happens, now the purpose of us being independent, to be free from all forms of control or all forms of, you know, interference or influence, is something that is definitely defeated, right? So seeing them in this gathering, definitely I mixed feelings at some point, right? Because yes, I'm happy that we see our security forces demonstrating this kind of things. But now seeing, you know, foreign forces in our mix is something that definitely I think, you know, I think we need to look at, right? Because it definitely defeats the purpose of our independence, right? And then coming to the infrastructure that the president is doing, I think he should be commended for that. You know, when he came to power, Sila Jamal through, you know, his tenure, right? But then that is one aspect of development. You have other aspect of development too that, you know, the president should look of health, the aspect of education, the aspect of security. These are aspects that, you know, many people believe that President Makataje Bagala's scorecard there is not good. So it tells us how we can live in our houses without being feared of being killed the other day. Tell us how we can go to work as bureau officers and not being killed. Right? These are responsibilities that government all over the world do for their people. And then, you know, I think definitely as an independent country, some of these things at this moment, 61 years old, should definitely be a thing of the past, right? Because if Persanja, Edward Francis Moll and others had to come today and they are told that our government official, Dingol Nila, Musul Nila, other people of some Jararo outside country, they will be highly disappointed in us, right? So I think, you know, that also defeats the purpose of our independence. You know, the moment we are independent, we should be able to do things by ourselves without actually relying on, you know, we cannot stand on our own. We cannot, that is important. But then it should not be in a way that will definitely affect our independence, right? Because it's just like Molga Fanyam, Nimoke Domorindi, right? Menka Da Fenke, something like that, Mandinka phrase. Whatever dictate what will happen, right? So our economy fanang nina bebula bandang kolbol, the same thing. I know that it will. And I think all these are areas that we are expecting the president to address in his speech today.
Of course, he might use the opportunity to do that. But in the election year, you talk to people near along they are close to supporters of the president and the National People's Party. You say maybe as a president or independence because of course we are in election year, so more bit election. So also as an opportunity you use not kelal. Though model, you know, might also see it the other way to say okay, national independence wala ko banko wala fanso to lungo dami alon ka nyanda ka diam banko di ngole kole ya kula nim fana se mine ke mole but anata ka use the pour ka je ko ka carte ke so fango nyine mole so ngamara opportunity babule pour ka je ko ka serious issues address as far as the Gambia is concerned.
You said, the moment that about his re-election, it might also defeat the purpose of the day as being a national day, right? But again, like I said, this would be a very important celebration for President Barrow. But the fact that, like, election, it could be his last independence as President of the Republic of the Gambia, right? You know, so as a result of that, I think definitely he needs to celebrate it with high regard in trying to ensure that and talk to Gambian to what he is able to achieve as a government and what he intends to achieve, right? At the end of the day, one political man, right? It's just like Nebula Menne, Yafamole, and Yaketene, and he left Akelatene, right? So some people definitely will move with that statement, and they can vote for you, right? But then it should not be like a way in which Ibabula Mole, being there alone. Maybe we can try that. But days like today, I think it should be a day where Yafamole, the past 10 years or the past year, this is what your government was able to do, and the next year, these are the plans that you have. If you are actually re-elected as president again, these are the things that you will keep doing for the Gambian people, right? So now, that is left for Gambian people to analyze and see what you've done for the past 10 years and what you've promised and whether it is realistic or not, you know, to be able to decide whether they can renew your mandate or this can be, you know, a farewell for you, right? Good. Like Yavanyameng, you know, if you talk to a typical or an MPP sympathizer, it could be Barrow's farewell independence celebration, right? For them, they will not receive it very, very well, considering the fact that they actually believe that, you know, Barrow should continue because they believe he's doing the right thing or one way or the other, right? So, but then, you know, naturally, Barrow himself will have that natural feeling that, you know, am I actually witnessing my farewell independence celebration or so, right? And again, if it is about term limit, not run on term limit, they know the issue of whether it is farewell ceremony for Barrow or not will already be established, right? Barrow will address us today. They know about address that today as his final independence celebration. Hadn't been we have the 2-term limit in our constitution for president rule, right? They know, and I believe even Wagara Sungaroti, but the ceremony will be far more than this, right? Because Abinara Gavamole, you know, during the tenure of his presidency, I menke, right? And I Nakamembula Molbulu, and Abela, you know, men minata succeed la Abe Oila Nyameng, Ebe Mendi Menkela to make sure that, you know, they are able to develop that legacy that he left behind, right? But that was a missed opportunity. We don't have time limit. So at the end of the day, he decides. The law gives him the power to decide when he actually, you know, prefers to rule, right? But Democrats, you know, based on the natural law whatsoever, he should just actually use this opportunity to announce to Gambian people that I have served you for 10 years, this is what I can do, and here it is, I'm not going to contest in the next election, right? And that would be a monumental announcement today if Barrow have to announce here that, you know, he's not going to contest the next election. And Tolfanang, as people that are present here, I think we'll take pride of that announcing Yala or at a Lola or whatsoever, right? I think that is important, but I don't see that coming anyway.
Yeah, so Ngamra still it's just colorful here. It's definitely colorful at the Makati Square in Banjul. Nimol mi along ko drong ay benjibe kang hanta inteng alnyabe wo match pass le drong alon nako atakela sojarol wala ko security forces da mare mili alon nako be match la akaram do dinol janne mi alon ko siata wol fanam binale kam match an komi nga fo nyami lunyon tangole mobe asakeno karam do dinno dol bije ni ne mula foloti asakeno dol fon bije nyi ke la labangote pour kana ka match pass ni ka jang so dol fana ke ba they will have something to narrate. Yeah, definitely. Like then, where I remember in our school time or private school, near nominate Purukata match, you know, he got with high regard, right? Because of the fact that, you know, he got independent on a Madi, right? So it is definitely an honor for every citizen to be part of this celebration, you know. But like I said, always celebration should be coupled with what? Growth. It should be coupled with development. Not, you know, celebrating the same thing year in, year out, right? That would definitely means, you know, we did not actually achieve the independence that we are actually, you know, seeing or that we are celebrating, right? So I think that aspect is important. You know, next year, Nanajang with a difference, where in Bafalako, at least from last year to this year, whole Ketatene, right? From all that digital, especially the more from the diseases, the Davos, you will have Lola Bakela, and then, you know, that will make them to at least have a sense of belonging as far as the day is concerned, right? Because in Bajarako, now we are able to achieve all these things by ourselves, so it is a day worth celebrating. But the moment woman came, some people will still believe that there is no need of celebrating this day, right? Despite being in the Lent and also the Ramadan period, ngalon ne konteni nyongol ni andunde jang ni sikori li minke ja se keno modol be bola. But force nga to believe le fananko mol mi alon ne ko yikenari jang, they have to check on them mentally, physically, pour kaje ko they are fit enough to be here, because ni want them by now as keno tenum be modol jele mi alon ne ko exactly. I think that is important. You need strength men so yeah. Because could you imagine covering 9 evaluating Janni can match passing in that and so on, right? So that is very, very important. Now EMM for Kela health check, whether they are, you know, capable to withstand this, I think is important. Because in Dobije man can there, at the end of the day, you know, Amarinata, certain things, you know, that is going to be very, very bad, right? So taking their health, both physically, mentally, is very, very important. Mentally, in a sense that, you know, this is a gathering where you have the president, you have top dignitaries, right? You don't want to bring someone who will bring, you know, chaos or bring things, a disgrace to the country, right? So I think all those aspects are very, very important. And security government talk about ngamra sainde karam dinu la temela ba ke mbe jele bedunna akamunda security nyimba funde kanne saye so saying abita kan level min do akamunda ko abe o ma fangol so saying thing ngamra ko temela ba ke dombe karam dinu ngol jela komi ya fo nyami in those days ni tombong like coming from the remotest of communities here tombong inata pour kalma be independent first ni ya fo mol fangoy, you know, you are celebrated in a special way. And two, Nidala independent or another, you know, ipananga ke mansa malet.
Exactly.
You know, you can sit in the midst of people trying to narrate what you have already witnessed. So ngamra woka ke diningol be achievement in the sense. Achievement.
Big one for that matter, because you can only tell me president Nyado, if they blow wave flyer, fanambe wave flyer. So usually it is very colorful. You know, but you got to know that so you know, all those things are very, very important and it's a memorable day. And now the science security to allow Karamuda Nulena if I pass President Nyado. And then we've seen some transition with the MC Fanang, with the Sanyang, member MC Ala Sojaro, since Ila Molga Fendi, has passed the baton to Director of Press, Ami Bojan. So I think, you know, like I said, Bankudo Komu can work like do jamuda, and for us to be able to get to the level that we are.
Yeah, it is definitely colorful. Yinkai cool beta kuka lengamra sign tenga temela bake drombe student wala karamudo diningol jala miya lon ko ibinaka march pass and then ibe tambila president nyinna ngamra temela bake fanambe batino nyimurun la letu ami bojang siso pour saje ko mi alon ka be kerin dal se wonati la.
Since we had self-rule, that we attain our political independence, the unity of we'll be having, as they do every year. As we are witnessing the wonderful leading the schools, athletes to secondary school. They are also followed by their scout masters. It is always a joy for the young ones to be among marching and right now they are passing by region from the Upper River region. Has a significant for the National Dialogue Day, when Gambians across our country. Among our Gambian concerns in governance and development. Of February 2026. From the secondary schools. The secondary in 1973, 3 years after the Gambia the police ban, the of the and who are all present. Who is a doyen in the education sector? Children. Muslim High School, followed by St. Joseph's. Reverend J.C. Five. Jawara, Bojang, Famara Wasature, among the lot. However, it also reminds us of women who were involved in politics like Mrs. Palmer. We now have Muslim Madrasa school pass and khaki green check. We have St. Mary's Lower Basic School in red and white, also waving, and they're also among the representatives of the students. Hamza Barak Lower Basic School in green is also here, marching past Presentation School Banjul in blue and white. harmony, it is also important for us to express the importance of unity and peace in our development. Now we have in the senior Reverend Jesse Fai Memorial Senior Secondary School and the Gaba Jahumpa Senior Secondary School. We have a lot of girls among them, those who are marching past, and Gambia Senior Secondary School, and it is one of our alma maters. I'm sure I've seen some of the students from the
school are giving them an applause, and that is really welcome. And you have said our senior secondary school. Oh, Mr. saying it is alma mater. Okay, and thank you very much, parents, teachers, guidance, and all those who made it possible for the students to come out here today and celebrate with us this memorable day. Again,
as a parliamentarian. With the whole outfit, I think it is beautiful on this day, the sunny but also cool day. As I was trying to explain, women in politics, we remember identity in the same place. She was among the dynamic women and gave them the courage. Her enemies also. Speaker of the National Assembly, and we are told that Madam Reina is around, along with the great women we have had also, among them the former Vice Presidents. We also have Honorable His Excellency Hussein Udabo, along with former Vice President Ajah Fatmata Tambajan, Her Excellency Dr. Aissatou Touré was celebrating this important day. Part of this celebration led by their host, Honorable Ibrahim Asila. The dynamism of our population and resource mobilization and management for an inclusive leap to the future is befitting. After 61 years, definitely we need dialogue to continue, but also it is demonstrating how far we have come. For all of us together, whether you are here present, watching from home, or listening to on any radio station, it is our responsibility to harness our human capital and infrastructure resources for the next generation. Boys and girls, it is important for us to remind ourselves, especially the young ones, we should not take things for granted. The former Minister of Works, at a dialogue at the National Dialogue, shared us historic facts where we are, where we were, and today where we are. He mentioned having one main street, Third Road, and today we are talking about over 800 kilometers of Third Road. We are talking about electricity all over the country. When some 61 years ago did not dream of seeing electricity in their homes, today we are enjoying it, and through the universal access to electricity, almost 90% of rural Gambia
we have been alerted that His Excellency is ready and set to address the nation, especially Barrow, Commander-in-Chief, and the President of the Republic of the Gambia. We invite you, sir, to come and deliver your address.
Flagi si kaw a kaw. Ekatilen flagi. His Excellency mo ñëw wax si. Waaw ekatilen flagi. Ekatilen ko si kaw ñu gis ko. Ekatilen ko. Thank you, Your Excellency. The floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, the First Lady Fatuba Barrow and Madam Sajon Balo Barrow, Your Excellency, the Vice President, former Vice Presidents present, my Lord Chief Justice of the National Assembly, honorable members of Cabinet and the National Assembly, Lord Mayors of Banjul and Kanifi municipalities, regional governors and executive coordinators, chairpersons of area councils, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, government officials and service chiefs, religious leaders, distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as we commemorate the 61st anniversary of our independence, we are marking much more than the passage of time. Rather, we are celebrating and reflecting deeply and proudly on what independence truly means in practice. Independence is not only a historical milestone, it is a living responsibility that demands vision, discipline, and collective effort from all of us. It embraces the capacity to chart our own development path, harness our own resources, and shape a future anchored in dignity, opportunity, and shared prosperity. This year's theme, harnessing the Gambia's human and infrastructural resources for an inclusive leap to prosperity, captures the very essence of our National Development Plan, IRWA. This plan translates political independence into economic transformation, social inclusion, and national self-belief. IRWA provides the strategic direction for building a resilient economy, strengthening institutions, and ensuring that no Gambian is left behind. 61 years ago, our forebears fought not merely for a flag or an anthem, but for the right to decide our destiny. Their sacrifices laid the foundation for a sovereign Gambia, governed by the will of its people. Today, of that historic struggle, a Gambian-owned blueprint, driven by Gambian priorities and focused squarely on improvement of Gambians. Fellow Gambians,
In our early years of independence, the guiding philosophy of nation building was grounded in the belief in hard work, resilience, honesty, and collective responsibility. These values taught us to depend on our own strength, work together, and place national interests above individual gain. Today, as our nation matures and our development challenges become more complex, we need to progress through our National Development Plan, IRUA. IRUA meaning development implies transforming resilience into strategic planning, hard work into productivity, and collective efforts into inclusive growth. Independence is hollow if it does not deliver results. Under the IRUA framework, we have deliberately focused on the foundations of sovereignty, health, energy, infrastructure, education, food security, and democratic governance, because a nation that cannot power its homes, feed its people, educate its youth, or protect rights cannot fully claim its freedom. Since 2017, and consolidated under IRUA, we have expanded and upgraded health facilities across the country, strengthened service delivery, and invested in human capital so that access to healthcare is no longer a privilege but a right. In the energy sector, the expansion of the national grid and the commissioning of renewable energy projects, including large-scale solar investments, reflect our commitment to energy independence. Climate responsibility and economic competitiveness. Our roads, linking rural farms to urban markets and communities to opportunities, are not merely infrastructure. They are at risk of inclusion and national integration. From the OIC roads to feeder roads across the regions, these investments are reducing isolation, facilitating trade, and opening up new economic opportunities for our people. They symbolize independence that connects rather than excludes. Ladies and gentlemen, at the heart is our renewed drive for food efficiency, agricultural modernization, and rural transformation. By supporting farmers with improved inputs, equipment, extension services, market access, we are in control over our food. Additionally, we are reaffirming the principle that a sovereign nation must be able to feed itself. Agriculture does remain central to employment creation, poverty reduction, and national stability. Independence also demands freedom with accountability. Building on the democratic foundation laid by our pioneers, my government has strengthened institutions and reaffirmed for the rule of law. These measures are essential for consolidating democracy, promote justice, and ensuring that governance remains responsive to the needs and aspirations of the people. Fellow Gambians, no need forward without investing in its people. Through education has been repositioned as a strategic pillar of development. The rollout of the competency-based curriculum
reforms in early grade language policy, and the transformation of key institutions into universities delegated to education and civil service excellence are designed to produce skills. Values, innovation, and professionalism align with national development priorities. Our youth, who represent the largest share of our population, are not a challenge to be managed, but a resource to be unleashed. Through skills development, entrepreneurship support, digital innovation, targeted youth financing, we are laying the groundwork for a generation that will define Gambian independence in economic terms through enterprise, productivity, creativity, and resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, we admit that challenges persist. Youth unemployment, cost of living pressures, climate shocks, and global economic uncertainties remind us that independence is a journey, not a destination. IRWA teaches that resilience lies in planning, unity, and discipline. Through national cohesion, social solidarity, and shared sacrifice above politics, ethnicity, or region, we will overcome these challenges. To our civil servants, I affirm my government's zero tolerance for corruption, inefficiency, and complacency. Independence requires integrity in public service, efficiency in delivery, and accountability at all levels. We will continue to strengthen systems that ensure public resources serve the public good and deliver value for money. Before I conclude, I wish to express my profound appreciation to the parents, teachers, and especially our children and young people whose enthusiastic participation in today's celebration and colorful march past have added pride, joy, and national spirit to this historic occasion. Your discipline, energy, and patriotism reflect the promise of our future and the values we seek to nurture as a nation. I also extend sincere gratitude to our defense and security services for their selfless service, professionalism, outstanding participation in this Independence Day anniversary march past. Their unwavering commitment to safeguarding our sovereignty, peace, and stability remain a cornerstone of our independence and national development. In conclusion, fellow Gambians, the story of Gambia at 61 is one of renewed confidence and purposeful direction. Through IRWA, we are converting independence from a historical achievement into a daily reality, measured in better schools, stronger institutions, reliable energy, productive farms, empowered youth, and inclusive growth that touches every community. On behalf of the government and the people of the Gambia, I extend sincere appreciation to our development partners for walking this journey with us, respecting our ownership, aligning with our priorities, and supporting our national vision. As we celebrate today, let us recommit ourselves to the ideals that brought us here: unity, hard work, self-belief, discipline, and love for country. Together, let us continue building a peaceful, prosperous, and resilient Gambia for present and future generations. Happy 61st anniversary. Long live the Gambia. God bless the Gambia. I thank you.
Excellencies, His Lordship, the Chief Justice and team, honorable members of the Diplomatic Corps, Mayor of Banjul and governors and executive coordinators, chairpersons of councils, our diplomatic corps, government officials, venerable leaders, distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are urging everyone to remain seated as we allowed His Excellency to shake hands with the invited guests and dignitaries. But before that, we will be having the national anthem. But we just want to allow everyone to remain seated so that we can do it in an orderly manner. But before that, we will have to thank everyone who have contributed to make this day a success. A lot of people are behind the scenes who are not seen, who are not heard, but they are doing a wonderful job to make this day a reality. We thank everyone, from those driving us, from the cleaners, from the security, school children, parents, teachers, everybody. I'm sure our administrators will not find me to be just when I don't mention the efforts they do behind the scenes to make sure that we follow procedures, to make sure that procurements are right, to make sure that I'm sure the Accountant General will be happy because she is now having this digital system that makes it possible for officials to follow what His Excellency just said. We will have to fight corruption in different ways, but we thank everyone. In the meantime, as we prepare and allow the national anthem, then we will then move to the next level. But we invite everyone to be seated after that. Thank you. Gambia Police Band, we are ready for the national anthem.
Is it on? Full President Barrow. Jerejef Oussedia Borom Afrixel.
Thank you, everyone. As we said, we will appreciate it while we wait for His Excellency will receive his guests with a handshake, and from there, it's a photo opportunity also for them. So from that note, we thank everybody. You see, when you don't see the faces, you wonder what's going on. So right now, we will have His Excellency and the First Lady and Madam Balo, Usajo Balo Baro, to receive the guests in order. We now call on the Vice President, Mohamed B.S. Jallo, to come and have the handshake. Yes, I think it's better. We will ask others to quietly hold on to where they are as they are being called. Thank you very much. Next we call on Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallow, followed by the former Vice President. You may come, sir. Yes, if we can do it quiet so that you don't have to stand for long. Okay. That is Hassan B. Jallow, His Lordship. Shake hand and proceed. We have Vice President, former Vice President, Aja Fatoumata Tambajang, former Vice President Ousseynou Dabo, former Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré. We shake hands and then we move. Deputy Speaker Honorable Sidin Yai next. We have the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Mrs. Rena. Welcome, ma. Thank you. Many celebrations too. We have the presence of ECOWAS, Dr. Omar Touré. Cabinet, can we allow the diplomatico? Well, the service chiefs were supposed to be here. Chiefs, yes. Kanacham and IGP, that is CDS Cham, and IGP Touré, and National Security Advisor Jen. Yeah, we have the service chiefs here. Next, we will also have our, thank you. Next, yeah. If I told them now, can we allow us to hold on after the security chiefs and then we continue from there? We shake hands and we move. We shake hands and we move so that we have time. Okay. Next, Navy. Then we have Colonel, Yadrame, GRA team, Immigration, Police. These are all senior security chiefs of the country. Next we will have, after them, the visiting ministers led by their hosts. Hello. We are still in the security rank. Next, we will have the visiting ministers led by their host, Honorable Ibrahim Asila. Thank you for coming and sharing our day with us. You're welcome. Okay. Now we have Phil. Who is coming? Next we'll have the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Honorable Cabinet Ministers all to follow suit. Cabinet Ministers, please. Cabinet Ministers. Cabinet Ministers, please. Can we hands and move, please? Yes. We shake hands and we move. Shake hands and we move. Can we have the diplomatic corps to follow the cabinet ministers? Mayor of Banjul and the executive coordinator of Banjul. Can we kindly have them after the ministers? After the cabinet ministers, we have the diplomatic corps. Thank you. Her Excellency, Madam Diallo. Welcome, ma. Welcome. We have the Madam, you have your diplomats, okay? Okay. Yes, we've already announced them. They are here. Okay, after you. At the diplomatic corps, we have in the diplomatic corps. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have the diplomatic corps and then we'll have the imam. Former ministers to also be part of it. Thank you. Madam.
Diplomatic corps.
Yeah, the National Assembly member. Right, by this page today. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Very well. Thank you. After the diplomatic corps, have our former ministers, please. Thank you very much, our diplomatic corps, for always standing by the Gambia. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Nana. Hello, how are you? As we get the diplomatic corps down, those are the former ministers who are also with us here. Oh, okay. Yes, can we just shake hands and move, please? Thank you. Former ministers, please. Happy Independence. Well done. Thank you. Next we have our after the diplomats, we'll have the National Assembly members, please. After the diplomats, we still have a line of diplomats. We still have our line of diplomats. Okay, we now still have our National Assembly members to join in. Hello. How are you? How are you? I'm okay. We have our National Assembly members. After the National Assembly, after the National Assembly, we are going to have the governors. You are part of the diplomat. I think it seems we still have more of the diplomats on the way. Please. How did they? Okay, now we continue with our diplomats. They are still on the line. The diplomats are still on the line. Can we complete them first, please? I know. Now we have our regional governors and executive committees coordinators. Regional governors and executive coordinators. Hello. Next, we'll have our advisors to the president. Advisors to the president are the next in the line. Advisors are here, led by religious advisor. Okay, we'll have to shake hands and move. The queue is long. We shake hands and move. The queue is long. We allow the Chief Justice, after we have just gotten the former ministers, then we have the Chief Justice and thank you so much, thank you. And we also have the judges of the Superior Courts who are with him. We have our businesswomen, they're all over the place doing their best. Y'all are sick, thank you and welcome. Thank you. These are our proud people we have, the female judges among their colleagues. Thank you, sir. Welcome. Thank you. No, thank you.
These are the senior judges of the superior courts. You see, there are 2 areas that are difficult for us. But we are proud of the women amongst them. We are always proud to see women high up there. Thank you so much.